Hi, I'm Chaplain Sharon. I've been a chaplain for many years in the state prisons and county institutions. I've seen many proofs of God's love and God's care throughout my work. One of the many experiences I've had of the proof of God's goodness and God's love was recalling a man who I met in a suicide ward. Although he didn't show any evidence of wanting to attempt suicide, he nevertheless was in that particular ward. He started coming to our church services there in that module. And he didn't speak English very well, but he would take English articles, and then eventually I brought in a lot of Spanish articles, Geraldo's, Spanish Bible, Spanish Science and Health. But he seemed to understand English better than talking it. So anyway, he was there for about 6 months. And during that time, we had many thoughtful conversations. He then was transferred to another institution where I was also a chaplain. And during that experience, he told me that he had been diagnosed by the doctors at the institution that he had an incurable blood disease. And he asked me to pray for him. He was very focused on trusting in God, especially when he learned that God is all good and that God is love. So it was something that he wanted to do, was to turn to God for healing in this experience. So I continued to share ideas with him and pray and keep him in thought every day. For the next few weeks, I didn't see him. And some of the other men who came to the church service told me that he was having visits with his family, which I was very happy about because there seemed to be some division among the family. So that was a good sign of harmony and peace coming to his thinking. About 3 or 4 weeks later, he came to the church service and I asked him how things were going. And he said just fine with his family, but then he said that the diagnosis of this disease, when he returned to have it medically or checked out, I should say, there was no evidence of it. And he was so grateful. Now this is about 1.5 years, almost 2 years since I first met him, and he still had not gone to court. There was complications regarding the whole case, and so we continued to pray about it. And then about 2 months later, he said he was going to court the following week, that they were finally going to bring the case to the court. And so we continued to pray, and I reminded him of Psalms 85:8, where David writes, "I will hear what God the Lord will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people." And so I encouraged him to just listen for peaceful thoughts. Prayer is listening, not talking so much, right? Not asking, not telling, just listening to what God is telling us. So he agreed. So he went to court, and the following week I went to see him, and the men in his unit, in his module, said, "He's not here. He was released at the court and found not guilty." I could just imagine his expression of joy and gratitude and love for good because he'd been expressing that all during this time. And then I confirmed it with the deputy. The deputy said, yes, he had been released. So I'm so grateful for his proving and realizing that this truth heals and sets us free.